Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker Geist and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me this week. And the title of this episode is Yikes. And there's a reason for that. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but the launch of this episode is actually a day later than planned. So I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about a few things that are related to that. So the first is that when you're doing a podcast, and you have a planned schedule, it's really good if you are able to do your best to stick to it. And I certainly am always doing my best, as I'm sure that every human being is. Each of us are doing the best that we can in any given moment. But stuff happens. Things go wrong, holidays happen, family shows up, all kinds of things happen. And therefore, we want to keep in mind also that the ability to move forward from those things that were unplanned, that were mistakes, that were errors, however we want to think about those, that being able to move forward from those in a positive frame is really valuable for everyone, not just for ourselves, but for all the people around us. And while consistency is valuable, that it helps to build trust that we're going to be doing the things that we say we're going to do when we actually do them, there is also value in transparency, in being real with each other, and also in forgiveness. We all have stuff come up, and so it's good to forgive ourselves and to trust that others will forgive us as well. This is something that my mentor, Steve Napolitan, who I've interviewed on this podcast before, and also I've been interviewed by him on his podcast, More Business, More Life. Steve reminds us that we can reset every day. So when something goes wrong, it's okay to stop, breathe, forgive ourselves, and reset. Start fresh. At every moment, any moment, whatever is going on or, has just happened, we can start fresh and give ourselves a way to move forward with a positive attitude and in a positive light. And I think an important aspect of this reset is around communication. This is especially true when some relationship is involved in the yikes or the oops or the oh darn it kind of moment that you're going through. In this case, the relationship is between me as podcast host and you as my podcast listener. And so I want to say, I'm sorry that I wasn't there yesterday with my podcast, but I'm trusting that you'll forgive me and I forgive myself. But the point is that rather than just skipping the week and saying, oh, well, I thought, how could I best use this moment to make a better choice? So the communication about it, I think, is valuable. Just as a different kind of example, but also in a moment where there was something that came up that was a challenge and could have caused a problem but didn't, simply because of clear communication. Just before this podcast recording, I got an email from a client who was having a challenge. And it was the kind of thing where she could have just tried to pretend it wasn't there, tried to either downplay it or just get through it somehow. Instead, she just let me know what was going on. That allowed me to make a slight adjustment and then be supportive of her. It makes her life easier. I'm totally fine with it, and now everything can go on really smoothly. Managing expectations is actually a huge part of our daily communications with each other. it is often through expectations that are unmet that we run into particular challenges. I know that many of our listeners are working in the audiobook publishing industry. Some of you are authors. We have others who are audio engineers and, working in the industry. So I would just want to say that this is a reminder. If there's anything going on, deadlines that may not be met for some reason, just always communicate with the other people who are involved so that we can all express our compassion and caring for each other by adjusting those expectations. Thanks again for being with me, and next week we'll be coming back with more cool information about audiobooks. In the meantime, please visit us at proaudiovoices.com. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.